Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, May 20th, 2019, and I am working on carving a little mushroom guy out of Baltic birch plywood. This is my final little test with this material before I transition pretty much all of my hand-painted carvings to birch. So far I like the way it carves. I just want to try one more smaller carving with a good amount of detail to see if it's going to behave the way I like it to. So far it has. I'm using power grip carving tools. I'll put a link down in the description below to a page on my website that outlines all of the materials that I use. So you can find yourself some of these if you would like to. Carving out the little whites of his eyes. One direction, come back in the other. Clean that out. Got some little splinters hanging out down there. Alright, zoom in a little bit. You can see a little better. How's that? Try to keep it in range. So this is a piece of Baltic birch plywood. I have spray painted the surface of it with cheap black spray paint, so I can see the marks that I'm making. And I'm using, I think I already said this, power grip carving tools. Right now, I'm just kind of following the lines that I've drawn, because in this area there's not a whole lot of interesting marks that I can make, because I just want, I want it to be clear. All these lines. But once I get away from the face, then we can have a little fun. This little guy, he's just drawn onto this board with Sharpie. I draw him in my sketchbook, and then I use a digital projector to get him to the right size on the board, and then I just draw that, use the projector to draw it on with a Sharpie onto the block. I think I found the answer. I think I found a wood that carves just as good, if not better, than MDF. That I can source in my area for my carved and painted blocks. Because ever since I started doing these, I've been wanting to do them out of a wood product. So I'm happy to have found this particular wood. Sharp tools also help. So learning how to keep my tools as sharp as possible was also part of this. I don't know that I could have used this wood 5 years ago, because I just wasn't good at maintaining my tools. Carving away his little mouth. And then the little corner of his mouth. I just kind of follow the outside edges of the marks that I've made with this V-gouge tool until it's all removed. And when I have little rounded corners to take out, I go and found my little U-gouge to deal with that. So there's two different ways to carve with this birch. I can carve with the wood or with the grain or across the grain. If I'm taking out large portions, generally it's better for me to carve with the grain. I mean, against the grain's not too bad either. It's just a different feel. It kind of tears a little bit more. This kind of peels. I need to sharpen this tool. It's not, when I'm doing clearing out, it's not as important that the tools are incredibly sharp, but this one could use a little sharpening. And right now I'm just clearing. Get a little bigger tool. The bigger tool you have, the carefuler you'd have to be, especially when working in tight areas. And the different colors you're seeing coming through is just the next layer in the plywood. I don't know why, but the next layer on this one is just a little bit redder. But when I go and paint the surface, that doesn't affect it at all. little the little marks in here. I got a zigzag pattern down the right side of this mushroom. I'm getting down into where the grass is going to start overlapping. So I'm going to start taking out smaller little pieces. And then I might come back and cross them when I have a little bit more wood taken out. But for now, here's the little hand. My smallest of the U-gouges to get his fingers. I carved that little line up first, so I have something for my tool to end in. It's just easier with the U-gouge. They don't quite scoop as nicely. While I'm at it, I'm just gonna go and take this little hand out too. These delicate marks. Alright, so before I get down into the bottom of the mushroom, I'm gonna go ahead and get the grass. I'm just gonna first just take a little line out of the dirt area that I have drawn. So when I come back at it with my U-gouge, once again it has a place to end and just finish the cut like I did on the hands. All right. Back to my little U-gouge to get some dirt texture. See, this one doesn't have anywhere to end. I'll have to go and take care of those little bits in a second. Just breaking the surface on them and brushing them away. Same here. Alright, so I've got the little dirt carved out. Now I'm going to focus on the blades of grass. I'm doing something that I don't like. I was doing something that I don't really like to do, which is carving towards myself. But sometimes it's necessary to get the correct amount of pressure on the blade. But I'm always pushing back. You see how my thumb is on the blade, pushing back against it to give it some resistance. So if I do slip, I'm not slipping all the way forward and then injuring myself. I've always got two hands on the blade, one pushing forward, one pushing backwards. I've got some crisscrossing blades over here, so I'm going to get the one in the foreground first. There's some of the grain working and popping as I work. So I've got a piece of grass coming up this way. And with the Sharpie drawing, I'm following it, 80%. But I'm not trying to trace every line, otherwise I just have a reproduction of my, terrible Sharpie drawing. I'm letting my woodcut marks dictate where the tool goes most of the time. I have my designs planned out about 80% of the way when I'm drawing them. And then the last 20% is decided with the tool marks, because the woodcuts have some beautiful mark making abilities. And if you just sit here, excuse me. I'm sorry, I had a phone call come in, and it was a spam phone call. So I paused the camera for a second, but now I'm back. But I was talking about the mark-making abilities of the woodcut versus just tracing the Sharpie drawing that I have. So what I was saying is I let my mark-making abilities, or my I have my design planned out about 80% of the way. And then I let the mark-making abilities of the woodcut kind of take the reins on the last 20%. Because some of these marks you can't plan. I write little notes to myself because I know what, after 10 years of doing it, maybe longer now, I write little notes to myself in the drawing that pretty much only I understand to dictate what kind of texture I'm looking for. And then sometimes I just kind of wing it and have fun as I'm working. Let's kind of see what happens. I was tempted to go against the grain there for a second, but since I've been carving with the grain for this whole section, I changed my mind. And I'm going to make some crosscuts, but I want to do it once I know what all of my with the grain cuts look like. Like there needs to be a crosscut here to define that edge of the grass blade. I need to go in here a little bit closer. And that's pretty good. So I'm just going to clear out this area over here. And grab my U-gouge. The U-gouge just makes some flatter cuts, which minimizes the chances of the high points collecting ink as I go to ink it up. This little triangle right there, I'll zoom into it. Oh, can't focus. This little triangle right there, I'm going to keep. For no other reason, just because I like it. I like that it's there. I'm going to keep that one, the little spot too. I like little areas that are evidence of the process from time to time. And when they pop up all by themselves, I like to keep them. These little areas I don't want to keep though. They would be confusing to the marks that are already being made up here. All right. Let's zoom out. That's what I have so far. I am going to I'm going to get the edge of that mushroom defined. So we're just like little short little tick marks that kind of go against the zigzags that I have carved. There we go. All right, now for the top of the mushroom. I don't really know much about mushrooms, actually. That probably has a name, and I don't know it. I'm going to call it the top of the mushroom. The dome. So these 3 lines that are drawn right there mean nothing. They were already on the board before I had the design on it. So I'm going to completely ignore them. And so I just remembered that from when I drew this out. I should do this little, the frills. They look like gills. They might act like gills too. I don't know. If you know stuff about mushrooms, tell me in the comments what all this stuff's called. So I'm going to just do a leading edge on each one of these little gills first. I'm going to call them gills. I hope that's okay with you. And now we're getting further and further back, so I'm just going to make my marks a little bit thinner. Still make all my leading edge cuts. And the reason I'm doing the inside before I go and tackle the outside, inside versus outside, if I slip and make a mistake on the inside and I haven't carved the outside yet, it's easier to go and fix by just, moving the line slightly. So that's the reason I'm doing this. All right. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. All right, so I've got that carved. So those are what I mean by the leading edge. It's this is every little mark is the furthest away from the inside of the dome, because they're like gills that come down from it. And so in between all those marks, I'm just going to make little marks so it looks like it's just coming down. Give it a little bit more depth rather than just radiating lines. I don't know. With woodcut carving, you're dealing, well, you can work in multiple colors, but most of my designs are dealing with, black and white. So you end up, value is difficult to achieve. So you end up making symbols for things that exist. So this is my symbol to mimic the texture in these little gills. Alright, hope I did most of that on camera. If I did it, I'm sorry. I was looking down most of the time. Alright, so now for his little, the rest of the little dome here. For this part, the under part of the dome, what I called the outside, I'm just going to go in in a big circle and leave some marks along that path. That I've already drawn out. So I'm kind of shaking back and forth, not because it makes it easier to cut, but because it gives me like a line that's not quite as smooth, which is what I want for this line between the top and the bottom. I'm looking at the bottom here, and this little area that goes down into here, I feel like it should I'm going to take a couple little nicks out. So I like it dark, but I don't like it black. So just a couple of nicks. Alright, back to the top. I have dogs that live across the street from me that are constantly barking, so you can probably hear those in the background right now. Alright. one I made too big, so I'm just going to shrink it. And then one final. And then I put a couple little marks up here too, so I'm going to leave 2 little marks there. Clear out. So now I'm clearing out. So I'm going to carve far away from the marks that I made to protect them. And then I'm going to get my larger tool. Just to clear out a little bit better. You can totally see the difference on how it carves so differently with and against the grain, can't you? Especially with these big chunks I'm taking out. This is with the grain. It just kind of peels a little bit more, which is good and then bad for some things. You just have to know how it reacts. This is diagonal against the grain, so it's kind of a mixture. It chips slightly, but it also peels. I'm going to leave these 2 little marks right here that I'm going to leave because I like them and because I can. And then clear all this out. See how that peeled all the way to the end? The red of that second layer is really coming through here. Alright, let's zoom out slightly. So I'm going to go wide. I'm afraid with this being such a large area that I'm going to work on simultaneously that I will get out of the frame. I'm going to turn it so you can see it a little bit better so far. So that's what I have going on. A little under dome area. So, alright. Last couple minutes here as I work on the top part of the dome. Alright, good. I'm in the camera view. And with this top dome, under here I didn't leave a whole lot of information. Towards the edges I want to leave a little bit more information. So I'm not taking it out completely. I'm doing some zigzaggy marks. Alright, so now the further I get away from this back edge, the cleaner I'm going to carve it. Because this is the shadow side, this is the in-light side. I'm still not going to carve it out 100%. I just feel like the top's a little bit more organic. And I want to leave that texture in a little bit more. I think it'll help with... I know the whole thing's organic. It's a mushroom. We're crying out loud. But I just feel like the tops have a little bit more texture. I'll say it that way. Alright, now for other decisions. So I'm going to make a cross mark here. And then I'm going to clean up these edges on the circles. Just to really define that line. And I don't have to do it all the way around on each circle. I'm going to leave little spots here and there that aren't defined as much, especially as I get closer to the shadow edge again. But definitely these leading edges of the circle. The sides that are closest to the light coming in. The rules that I make for myself. These ones are going to get carved up quite a bit. And then a little marks on the back side. Uh-oh. That wants to peel a little bit more than I want it to, so I'm just going to come back and double back the other direction so it doesn't. Marty's on the move. Marty's coming. Marty's my cat. Maybe he's not. Maybe so. We'll see. You guys might have a cat come and visit in a second. Hi. All right. So I think we've got well, hello, Marty. Look at that fur. Sorry about that. She's gone. Alright, so now I'm going to carve out these little circles. Marty was just hanging out in the window. That's right there. So she came, jumped off the window, and now she's going to do whatever else Marty does. Alright, so I'm just going to carve out these circles 100%. line this inside edge. And with the rules that I made before about doing stuff on the inside and then the outside, logically, I should have carved the inside of these circles first. But I didn't. And now here we are. But it's fine. You know, there's just as much opportunity to mess up on the outside as there is the inside, so. Just it's easier. There's more space on the outside to move around. But there's no reason why I didn't do it. It's just, you know, didn't think about it, and it ended up fine, so here we go. I'm going to take this line right here. That top line is a little heavy, so I'm going to remove that. But these 3 lines, or 4 lines right there, are quite lovely, so I'm going to leave those. Alright, back to my smaller U-gouge to finish the clearing. And I do believe this little mushroom man is finished. Clear out some high areas around down in here so they don't collect ink. But I think he's done. I think that's quite nice. Yep, he is finished. I'll flip him around a little better for you and do a little bit of a zoom out. Go wide. So that's what he looks like. It's got, let's see, I'll point out some areas. Little grass. I like this. Let me get my tool to point. I like this little area right here. This is quite straightforward, all in here, just carving out lines. This might be a little too heavy, but we're gonna leave it. And then I do like how this area turned out. I might, I got an idea. Not quite done. Changed my mind. So so how it curves, this part, let me see if I can, they're gills, I was calling them gills, I don't really know what they are, they're frilly. So they're like little, they kind of, that doesn't really make sense, they go like this. They're like little U shapes. And so the stuff that's closer to each edge is tucked up underneath the mushroom more, and the stuff that's in the center, that little it's further down, and so those should get a little bit more light. So I'm just going to go and carve away a little closer to that center line on each of them, just to create more of an illusion of light. It's not going to be possible with each and every one, just based on how much I've already carved. But it's working out. That one doesn't need one. A little bit thinner. Do it right here. And right there. And right there. There we go. So this gives it a little bit more droopiness, like a curtain, I guess. They're like little curtains that go from inside to outside. So it'll be easier to see once I ink it up completely. But there we go. There's that little mushroom carved out. So thanks everyone for watching and hanging out with me as I carved this. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments if you would like more stuff like this. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.